like to introduce Sarah White, Director of Admissions Operations for CT State. Welcome back, Sarah. Hopefully we can finish this out.
Thank you, Alexa. So once again, my colleagues, Vincent Kedzier and Carissa Smith, are joining us. I will do a 30-second recap and then we will jump back in. I did contend with the idea that maybe I should wear the same thing, like it's the Great British Baking Show for continuity purposes, but I put that aside. So in any case, I'm going to go ahead and share the PowerPoint that we were looking at before, which is very short. There we go. So basically, at this point, what we had done was we talked about all the pieces as to what is important about the CRM and the application and how this works together. And we were at the point of being in what we call the constituent experience, or the CX, which is the student portal. And the actual URL for testing is what you see here, CT State Test at lucyandcrmrecruit.com/apply. And that is where we were when we went through and we created our account and we submitted the application. So at this point, what we're going to do is go back into our test account to upload some supplemental items. So bear with me one moment. And we're going to go back to, as I said, that URL. And because we already created our account, we don't have to create a new one. This will be what we continue to use. And Ruby Red T at test.com was our person. And I would go ahead and log in. And it takes me right into my account. So that application that we had completed previously is showing here. And if I click in view, there's two items in here. If I go to the review portion, this is the application that I filled in with all of my information showing. So this is exactly what I put on the application, and all the parts and pieces are listed throughout. Now, the next part that's crucial for students to be admitted is that they would upload supplemental items and documents that are necessary for admission. So when you look at supplemental items, all items with an asterisk are required to complete your application. You will see that for general admission into a degree program or certificate program, we have these items. So because I did not put a social security number in my application, I have to complete this form. It's very easy to do so. I can click start. And it will take me into the form that says, please provide one of the following items on this form. And if I scroll down, it tells folks why. It's voluntary. This will not impact the decision to admit a student. But if you apply for financial aid or you seek the benefit of the federal income tax deduction, the 1098-T, you would need to fill this out. International students, including Canadian citizens, should leave social security number blank. So when we go through this and a person would put their information in, so Ruby Red Grapefruit, I don't have a banner ID yet, so I can leave that blank. I can then select in here from one of these options. I will provide, I decline to provide, or I do not have a social security number to provide. So I will go ahead and say, I don't have one. And then I can go ahead and sign and date it and upload. So we'll just do Ruby Red and today's date. And click submit. I have successfully submitted, and now I can go back to my supplemental items and documents and take care of the next items. Immunizations would be an immunization form that they can print out and bring to the physician to fill in. And then proof of high school completion. We ask students who are currently enrolled to provide an unofficial in progress transcript so that we can admit them in good faith that they're going to complete their degree. And then we will request that proof of completion because we know we're going to need it for a multitude of reasons, but we will do the follow-up as it gets closer to June when we know many students would be graduating. So we will communicate with them via email and do our outreach to collect it. So let's say I want to upload my item now, I can go ahead and upload it directly from here. So if I went here, date modified, I should have a new item sitting in here. We'll just put one item in. And it says upload here. If I click this, it adds it right in. And I could remove if I wanted to, or if I found there were other items I needed to add to this. We do allow, in many cases, multiple uploads to files. Sometimes, you know, crazy as it sounds, they might upload a picture of their cat. We want to let them know, hey, you need to send us the actual proof of high school completion. We love animals, but we do want to see this proof. So they could either remove it, or we have that option for them to upload additional items. So these items, as they're uploaded, they then change to the item being received. So you'll notice that Social Security election form now says received under submission status. In the case where folks might have a letter of recommendation, which we do utilize for our dual enrollment programs, it's more like a verification on participation. Parental consent is the other piece that goes along with that because they are under 18 in most cases. Or in some of our selective programs, there may also be letters of recommendation required for admission. Those are also in here. And they, if you've ever worked with some type of letter of recommendation request, the student requesting would actually put something in here and say, hey, would you please fill this out on my behalf? And it sends an email to the recommender, and they would do something very similar to what we just did on this election form and basically fill in some fields, and they could attach items if necessary as well. So from the student side, this is where they need to upload their items. And in most cases, all items can be uploaded here directly, and then we can go ahead and decision the application and get them admitted, and then they would get next steps information so they could enroll in classes. Now, the other piece that we want students to be aware of is up here, we also have events. And I'm clicking this and letting you know that we are in test. So what you see in here is not what's live right now, but in the events portion, they can search for things that are going on, or they can scroll down and see all the events that are open and happening in the future. So in terms of these events, if they click into them, they can, and I'll just actually pick the nuclear medicine technology, they can go ahead and register online. So with most of the programs that we are working with who are doing events, what we actually do on our end is create the registration link that you see at the top here, and we would give that to the program coordinator. In this case, Anne Marie Jones, so that it could be posted out wherever it is being advertised, and then students can click on that and it takes them right to the registration link. This is also what we do for enroll in a day events, where it might be a filtered list and show all of the enroll in a day events. So it might not be just one listed, and then they could pick the one they want to register for. So this particular portion of the CRM is very important to us, because if a student registers and then we mark that they've attended, we can then go ahead and collect metrics from what happens on that point forward. So if they happen to register and they haven't been in the system at all, because you put the link out there and they said they were going to come, that creates the student in our system as an inquiry. And they're interested in nuclear medicine technology. And then if they apply, it tracks them to that application. And should they then enroll, we can look back at the event to see what happens in the funnel for the student and how many students would then be becoming actual enrolled students in our system. So we find it important that we're using the event portion of our CRM because it does allow us to do better communication and tracking as to what's effective, but it really does require more participation from the colleges on their behalf in working with admissions and letting us know so that we can post things out for you. And we can link into anything you want. So in terms of what happens after students register, they get a confirmation email. They would get a reminder email 2 days before. And we can also set it up so if we mark that a student attended, they would get a thank you for attending email, or they would, so we say they did not attend, we're sorry you couldn't make it. Here are additional ways you can connect with us. So this is really the best way to utilize this particular technology, is to wrap it around everything that we would use in our recruitment of a student. So I am going to flip back to here. And the one thing that I do want to just share is for our selective admission folks, decision letters and admit packets will also be posted in that application portal. So it's not showing in that test environment, but there will be a separate one that says decisions. So students would be able to say, yes, they're attending right there. And then all of the information they need to enroll in those particular programs would be posted for them as well. So we are actually at the end of this, and I would say that at this point, if there are outstanding questions, we would welcome them.
Is there anything in the queue, Carissa, or are we?
There is not. No. So if anyone does have a question, they can put it in the chat, but otherwise.
Yeah, we'll give them a couple more seconds to pop something in if they want. But again, this is going to be posted on ctstate.edu/webinars. The link address goes out in the CT State newsletter every week. And we will have the slideshow posted as well as this presentation in 2 parts. So, and I want to thank everyone here for their time. We appreciate it. And then anything remaining, Carissa? Still, I don't see anything.
Nope.
Okay.
No
Well,
questions. So Sarah, I think you really covered everything.
Yeah.
I'll
So,
get some emails after, and that is perfectly fine. You know, we are very much prepared to answer questions and to work with our college partners to ensure that they get what they need out of the application and they can share out this information. Just as a point of reference, we just attended 2 statewide summits where we invited in high school counselors and community organizations. So we did sort of the same thing with them so they could see what students would be filling out. And we took feedback from them as well, because there's definitely things that when we built it, we listened to feedback, we took in what everybody was doing along the way, but there might be something that folks have for suggestions that might be helpful when it comes to what works well for students. We, of course, don't want to add more questions if we don't need to, because we want to be cognizant that we want them to be able to fill it out quickly and have there be no barriers, but it's really, can we pull some barriers out of that application so that they can get through it and we still get the information that we need for our purposes. So.
all right. So with that, I will wrap it up then. And there was one quick question. It ended up going just to me to Carissa, but there's a link that people can use to test the application, correct?
Absolutely. That is the link.
Okay. So
this will
be, oh, I'm sorry. This will be in the slideshow that we'll be posting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Perfect. All right. So I think we're all set then. Thank you, everybody, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye all.
Bye-bye.